There are spirits in the invisible realm. There are spirits hovering about in the spirit realm. The Bible said when an evil spirit is cast out of a man, Matthew 12, 43 and 44, it goes about in dry places, looking for where it will dwell. If it doesn't find any, it returns. That means there are desolated places in the spirit where spirits hover. That's why a lady asked me when I was teaching on Tuesday, he said since she came to a new environment where she's living, predominated by the sons of the bondwoman, it became difficult for her to win souls. And I told her, if you check, it has even become difficult for you to pray. The reason is because there are spirits in that atmosphere. And so when you enter a territory, the energy level is different. Make no mistakes about it. When spirits dominate a sphere, they put their energy there. It's not everywhere that is possessed by spirits. Some realms are possessed by the energy of spirits. When Jesus came to Peter's mother-in-law, he didn't cast out a demon. The Bible said he rebuked fever. Because the fever is an energy of a spirit of sickness and infirmity. So the spirit himself may not be there, but his energy is there. The same way the energy of a spirit can dominate a man, the energy of a spirit can dominate an atmosphere. Why do you think you come into a service moody? But after a while, when the worship is intensified, you start jumping and shouting. You didn't come into the service shouting. The energy of the Spirit of God has dominated the service. And so a point comes, you begin to interact with it. The reason you are excited is because you are receptive to that. You received it. The same way you can enter a place and the energy of immorality will dominate. If you don't know how to fight and shut out those energies, they will be planted into your soul. And the first victory you have here, you will lose it. I've known people who went for NYC in 21 days, they were disflowered. Because they stepped out of one energy and entered another energy. I've known people who went into a business and in the first 1 month they became liars. Because they left one energy and entered another energy. There are spirits hovering in the spirit realm. And what they do is that they emit their energy into the context where men dwell. So that a man who is receptive to their energy will attract their presence. If you receive their energy, you invite them into your life. That's how these spirits work. And so in order to win the war over spirit cities, what you do is that you resist the energy constantly. When you come into a place and you discover people are immoral, you have to take a stand. If you don't know that this is warfare, you will be there saying, God will help us. You will not be helped. You will drown. It will begin with lust. After a while, it will begin with talking with 1 or 2 persons. The next time, you are crying on your bed because you just fornicated. You didn't know how to resist that city, that energy, because you didn't know that there was a spiritual city there. I taught before from Ephesians chapter 6 from verse 10, how that Paul said, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. He said, put on the whole armor of God, wherewith you'll be able to stand the wiles of the enemy. And he said, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers. Principalities come to dominate context. And when they release their energy there, anybody who receives it becomes a slave. So the second city you must dominate is the spirit cities. Most times, the physical environment we live derive their reality from the spirit city. That's why you hear names like Egypt in the Bible. At first you think it's a country. Later you discover it's a spirit city. Because what Egypt wants to do is to stop the worship of God. You hear Babylon the Great. At first you thought it's a country. A point comes, you now discover it's a city in the spirit. What Babylon intends to do is to bring mixture into your life. So that God is the energy, the temperature and the reality of God is compromised with the reality of other spirits. And a point comes, your pursuit becomes greatness. And you don't care whether you are right or wrong. The guy entered into ministry at first with passion for God and for souls. After 10 years in ministry, his goal becomes a cathedral and money. He doesn't know when he forgot about God. He forgot about soul. Babylon has attacked him. A point came, he began to mix fame with spiritual authority. A point comes, he begins to mix the anointing with psychology. A point comes, he begins to mix divine direction with human strategy. And a day will come, he no longer tells whether it is God leading him or his mind leading him. A point comes when, if God doesn't speak fast, he calls technocrats. And so Babylon has entered. Babylon brings mixture. And the reason he will do that is because his focus is no longer God. It's now about greatness. That's why it's called Babylon the Great. Compromise God and we give you greatness. Compromise God, we give you influence. Compromise God, we give you honor. But it's a subtle city. If you don't know how to fight it, you are gone. A day comes, you forget about evangelism. You start doing music concert. And even the music concert is not censored by the Spirit. You know people love music. And so anything you do that gets people's attention is good. A point comes, it's no longer about prayer and fasting and evangelism. It becomes about comedians. And you say when they come, we win them to Christ. You don't know when mixture sets in. And then the comedian comes and waters down the doctrine. The comedian comes and waters down sacred and hallowed things. The things that we dread, they play with them. And after a while, everybody takes those things for granted. Church has become fuller, but the fear of God has died. Church has become fuller, but the worship of God has died. Church has become fuller, but the power of prayer has died. When you were few, everybody was a prayer warrior. When you were few, when you prayed, the hall vibrated. But now you are 1 million, and when you are praying, even the flies in the hall doesn't notice. We were in a biannual conference of one of the biggest church bodies in Nigeria. They said people should pray. Over 100,000 people were praying. You couldn't hear the prayer. If you were there, you would sleep off because the energy died. Great men show up. Mighty men show up. All the black Jews were assembled. Even the testimonies that were shared, all of them were in 1980. Because it was in 1980 that the energy of God was strong. Now, God's voice has been mingled with human strategy. Now, the pursuit of intimacy have been replaced with the pursuit of influence and cathedral. There is nothing wrong in building cathedral, but if you allow God grow you organically, it is better. When you don't censor Babylon out of what you are doing and you allow that mix to happen, you will receive the same thing God gives, but the reality will be different. The Bible said it's the blessings of the Lord that make it rich and added no sorrow. That means even the devil blesses. The difference is that when the devil blesses, sorrow is added. So God builds cathedrals, devils also build cathedrals. God gives fame, devil also gives fame. Did you not read about Jesus? When he returned with the power of the Spirit, the Bible said his fame went abroad. So God gives fame, but demons also give fame. If you allow Babylon, you will receive fame, but you will not know that you have lost God.